food supplement that uses natural amino acids and bioactive peptides to help unclog your liver and optimize your metabolism so it's easier to lose weight.
My name is Stephanie Phillips Solar, and I'm an Almaced success story. I was able to lose 67 pounds with Almaced in roughly 7 to 8 months.
My weight is down. I feel much more energetic than I have in the past.
Over the course of time, I lost a total of 25 pounds. So thank you, Almaced.
Almaced is all natural, supports healthy blood sugar levels, and it's diabetic friendly. Some weight loss plans have you feel weak and hungry, but Almaced will renew your energy, and you can lose weight and feel great.
Almaced's unique protein can truly absorb in your body and aid with weight loss.
Studies showed Almaced helps you lose double the weight compared to other diets.
The fact is, Almaced works, and I highly recommend it.
Go to almaced.com now to get started for just $39.99. That's $4 a meal. We guarantee you can lose weight or you'll get your money back. Be like Beth and get the unfair weight loss advantage with Almaced.
My paycheck was just deposited into my Greenlight account.
Greenlight is so convenient. You know, we had to use a vacuum tube.
Where is it going?
Bring your family into the financial future.
This is Fubo. It's your way to watch ESPN and other top sports networks. Plus, get coverage of your local teams all year long. Start watching at FuboTV.com.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call or scan for your free writer's guide today.
Welcome back to On the Inside with James O'Keefe. My name is Brianna Morello, filling in for James today. Now, some of you might have seen a video of the West Palm Police Department making their way into James's office. They came here to confiscate his firearms. And in case you missed it, let's take a look back.
So we keep walking all the way back. There's ottoman over here. Everything's on. This is all three? Yep, this is it.
I could definitely go back.
Yeah. It's on the paper and everything. I'll get it when we get down. Make sure. He didn't have video on. No, we good. All right, we'll figure it out.
Do you guys need anything from him?
We just need his. As long as we.
I've got his date of birth.
Okay, we'll grab that when we.
Okay. All right. They don't need to see James.
All right, obviously this is very concerning considering the fact that we have a Second Amendment in this country. So joining me to break this all down is James's attorney. Benjamin Barr is joining the show. Benjamin, thank you for being here. I'm excited to have you on because I wanted to kind of give you the floor for the next couple of minutes. And I want you to break down specifically what led up to this and then the future moves your legal team is planning on making in order to make sure that this never happens again to James. So I'll give you the floor.
You bet. And, let's have a conversation because I don't know what you folks know and what I know, so we'll parse this out. Thanks for having me on. Just yesterday, we filed an emergency appeal and a request for a stay with the 3rd District, that's the appellate court that governs Miami in Florida, about this issue. So this all stems from a long-standing dispute and story with respect to Mr. Tiramond, who was a board member on Project Veritas. Of course, that's the nonprofit that James founded and ran. And James has run a series of stories investigating Mr. Tiramond and what his role was in him being ousted from Project Veritas, and just in general about Mr. Tiramond. James had a series of investigative reports where he had an investigative journalist go out and have date social encounters with Mr. Tiramond and capture audio and video about that, including Mr. Tiramond wanting to rip O'Keefe's heart out, showing a book that had been shot at in James's chest, the breakthrough book, these sorts of things, pleasant things. So the story was published. It was a 27-minute video. It was put out on the internet, and Mr. Tiramond went and sought sort of a midnight secret relief, went to the family court division in Miami, said that the investigative journalism that James was doing amounted to stalking and cyber stalking, and that required that James have his guns to be taken away from him, a dispossession of his firearms, and that he not be able to go out and ask questions about Mr. Tiramond, about his work associates, about to be able to produce stories on this. So really two big constitutional problems. We have a firearms dispossession, a violation of the Second Amendment, as well as Florida law. And on top of that, a First Amendment issue, what we call a prior restraint, the very worst offense against the First Amendment that you can imagine, stopping speech in advance. So that's sort of the package of it. I can drone on, or if you have particular questions, happy to jump in on those.
Yeah, I want to go over the Second Amendment element to all of this, because that's what's really concerning. You know, I've been in this space for several years now, and I know James has been in it far longer than me. I do personally receive a lot of death threats, and last year the FBI actually had to investigate several of those death threats. So I know James also receives threats as well, and they're significantly worse. So behind the scenes, I mean, I don't want to go into detail about the threats he does receive. I don't want to pay those people any mind. But when it comes to the threat on his life, which we know is active, because of all the investigative journalism he's done. What was it like for your legal team trying to fight that, to fight for his right just to protect himself and have his Second Amendment rights preserved?
I mean, the whole of this is absurd. It's a Kafkaesque sort of scenario, because when you look at Florida law, and we pointed this out to the judge right away, we pointed it out again a second time, and finally on the third time, the judge realized what I'll tell you here. But Florida law says that you have to have findings that someone was actually an imminent threat. You know, they're out doing violent acts, they're making true threats against another individual. And you look at this gigantic complaint that Mr. Tiramond filed, nowhere in there does he suggest that Mr. O'Keefe threatened him, that he engaged in any sort of violence toward him, any of the necessary predicates. So just under Florida law, there's no basis for it. And the Supreme Court has had the chance to look at these sorts of issues recently. The Rahimi case was one dealing with exactly this. And you need to have some real due process. Someone can't just come into court, say you're an awful human being, you did awful things, and you have no opportunity to defend yourself. You have no opportunity to examine the evidence. You have no opportunity to be able to present your side of it, and then you're disarmed by the state. That's not the right standard. So that was the standard, unfortunately, that was followed here, and we had to have a temporary turn-in of the firearms. They were turned in on the night before a continuance hearing to avoid contempt, and we have now a correction from the judge, to her credit, of that order. We're still waiting for that actual paper copy to come out for James to be able to get his gun. So we're just sitting here waiting on the mercy of the judicial system that moves slowly. But in the interim, we still have this speech gag that's going on, and a judge saying, well, someone felt turmoil. That's the words that that Mr. O'Keefe uses. Someone felt turmoil, a sense of harassment, and so we're going to stop you from questioning them. We're going to stop you from engaging in investigative journalism. That is absurd on its face. We have, you think about some of the big cases in America, and the Pentagon Papers case comes to mind. That's when the New York Times got details of the war readiness of America during the Vietnam War and what was really going on behind the scenes, and published it, and the government didn't want that out. And while the justices sort of split and argue about the exact core holding, they all agree on one thing. We don't shut up speakers, journalists. We don't stop them in advance. They can go out and speak. And if there's some imagined wrong and you want to try a case, go to court the honest, fair, normal way. Bring a case for defamation. Bring a case for trespass. Do any of these things. Put on your evidence. Have your day in court. But don't sneak into family court in the middle of the night, file a complaint, and have rights, suspended without due process, without a sort of robust judicial process to guard those rights. That's what we're fighting for here. And that's not just James. That's any journalist who operates in Florida.
Yeah, we're going to keep our eye on this, and I'm sure James is going to keep his audience in the loop because there's going to be more that obviously develops and comes of all of this, so we look forward to that. Benjamin, before you go, though, I wanted to ask you, because we know what's happening right now in Washington, D.C. They're about to vote FISA, and it's obviously something that's very controversial. Most Americans don't want their rights violated, as we were just discussing, by the federal government. But FISA allows the federal government to go around obtaining warrants to spy on American citizens, and although the federal government denies it, anyone who paid attention to the 2016 Trump campaign knows that it was used against the President of the United States. And obviously this is concerning. Now, when it comes to obtaining warrants and, the means of how they do this, I mean, James is obviously a victim there as well. He was raided by the FBI while running Project Veritas, and so was his former employees. And I know you were one of his lawyers for all of that. So I kind of want to get your reaction to the House that's expected to take up that FISA vote later in the evening. And again, the Senate's also going to have to go over this. But the president is all on board. He says that he's okay with his personal rights being violated as long as it continues to secure our nation. What's your take on that?
Well, I think Ben Franklin got it best. Those who are willing to sacrifice temporary liberty for temporary safety deserve neither. I want to see no watering down of Fourth Amendment rights, of warrant processes. They're already weak enough in America. The number of cases that actually go to trial in federal court is shockingly small. People are steamrolled by the system. To surrender Americans' rights because of a fear of foreign enemies is nothing new, and it's nothing to be proud of. And so we have tools to be able to go after foreigners, to be able to fight real terrorists. This is all about protecting actual Americans' rights. And in times it's going to make it inconvenient because there's going to be bad Americans who line up with foreign terrorist forces. But we should still demand that the full Bill of Rights apply, that we honor that, and that we can still see out national security and uphold liberties at the same time. I was counsel in the FBI raid, and still am, because we're still working on that case with James on pursuing a morning no-knock raid into his home because he had the daughters of the president's personal diary. And I can tell you, the case law is so watered down and so weakened. Let's not push it further. Let's proudly reclaim that. So I'm not generally in favor of that. I understand that may differentiate myself from the president or for some other Republicans, but I'm a constitutionalist first. That's where I stand.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing how this all turns out. I'm so infuriated that our government is just going to sign off on this. Unfortunately, the White House endorsing it, and so is Speaker Johnson, as well as the Senator Thune as well. So it's frustrating to sit back and watch. I don't think our rights are for D.C. folks to sacrifice against our will. Benjamin, we want to thank you for joining us today. It's an honor to have you on the show to break down everything, so thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, when we return, a major gun rights organization, Gun Owners of America, is responding to what happened to James O'Keefe. Stay with us.
The Losing your hair? Tired of hiding and looking older than you really are? With Bosley, you can get your real hair back permanently. One visit, one day.
Guys, it's so easy. It takes one day, and this is my real hair.
Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration experts. Exclusive high-density Verigraph technology will give you a thick and natural hairline.
Bosley gave me back my real hair in one day.
We're giving away a free real hair starter kit and a $300 gift card to everyone who scans this QR code. Bosley has performed over 500,000 procedures for men and women and has over 40,000 5-star reviews.
I'm a medical doctor myself. If you want the best result, you go to the best place, and that's Bosley.
It's affordable, 0% interest. If I can afford it, you can afford it.
Plus, it's all backed by the Bosley Real Results Guarantee.
Dude, scan the code, get the free kit. It is easy, and it'll change your life.
Scan, call, or go to Bosley.com right now.
At Allegiance, we do it differently. Flags 100% made in America by Americans with American materials.
We're proud to create jobs right here in South Carolina. It might not be the easiest way, but it's the right way.
We make American flags the way they should be made, where they should be made.
Join our pledge to keep the American flag truly American.
Visit showallegiance.com to get your high-quality American flag today. That's showallegiance.com.
Hundreds of thousands of innocent children are being trafficked every year right here in the United States, and there's no greater crime against humanity. For years, Angel has been one of the few studios willing to shine a light in this darkness and demand that the world pay attention. Their new film, Still Hope, tells the true story of a young girl who was trafficked, rescued, and then faced something most people never think about: the long, painful road to healing. Most of us saw The Sound of Freedom and felt that outrage, but Still Hope asks the next question: what happens after the rescue? Because saving a child is just the beginning. Rebuilding their life, restoring their innocence, helping them find peace after unimaginable trauma. That's the battle that comes next. Stream Still Hope on Angel today. Share it with your friends and family. Let's make sure these children's stories are told so healing, hope, and change can follow.
I wasn't expecting this, but the documentary Death of Recess genuinely stopped me in my tracks. This isn't about dodgeballs and jungle gyms. It's about control. The modern American classroom didn't just happen. It was intentionally designed, standardized, and centralized. If you're a parent or plan to be, you absolutely 100% need to see this documentary.
Now streaming exclusively on Angel.
Cameras are good.
Welcome back to, of course, folks, On the Inside with James O'Keefe. I am Brianna Morello filling in for James today, so it is an honor, of course, to have you with us. Now, as we just saw when the TRO was granted, Florida law required James to surrender his firearms. No criminal charges, no convictions, just the civil ongoing matter. And then all of a sudden your guns are gone. It's quite... It's very discouraging for those who really appreciate the Second Amendment. That moment obviously went viral, and a lot of people were asking, what's going on here? Because, again, this is Florida, one of the most conservative states in the country. How could this actually happen? Well, here to answer those questions and break down the Second Amendment battle that's happening here in Florida is Luis Valdez. He is the Florida State Director for Gun Owners of America, and it is an honor to have you on the show today, so thank you for being here. I kind of want to walk our audience through all of this because a lot happened. We saw as the West Palm Beach Police Department made their way into this office. Again, it's a media group, and they confiscated James's firearms, and he still hasn't received them back. That's according to his own attorney. What do you make of all of this?
You know, one of the biggest issues is Florida proclaims itself to be the freest state in the union, when in reality we're the worst Republican state when it comes to the Second Amendment. And Mr. O'Keefe, sadly, is now a public victim of that. Yeah. And I hate to phrase it this way, but with Mr. O'Keefe, at least he can now be a public example of what thousands of Floridians go through daily, what in reality, what millions of Americans go through daily when it comes to the Second Amendment. These red flag orders, these temporary restraining orders, they're a complete violation of the Second Amendment. and the Fourth and Fifth Amendment. Look, as a former law enforcement officer, I rose my right hand to uphold and defend the entirety of the Constitution. That includes the Second Amendment. And the procedure that was used to violate Mr. O'Keefe's Second Amendment rights, it violates our principles of due process. It violates our principles of being secure in your person, in your home, and your business. It violates the principles of innocent until proven guilty. The fact that false accusations are made against an individual and then they are stripped and they're disarmed. You know, if it wasn't Mr. O'Keefe, what about every single, single mother out there who has an abusive spouse that the domestic abuser makes false allegations against them and disarms them? These people don't have the tools and they don't have the ability to fight back like Mr. O'Keefe does. This is the major issue, especially with the fact that we have a Republican supermajority in Florida that constantly campaigns their pro-gun, but year after year, they refuse to repeal these gun control laws.
Yeah, well, I have a personal backstory in all of this. As many people who follow me on social media have seen, I actually had to pull my firearm and use it in my defense when a man followed me into my apartment complex in Texas. And I was actually grilled more by the police department in regards to his allegations that I pulled my pistol out on him. That was his words, not mine. And they didn't want to do anything about it. They didn't want to do anything about it until I embarrassed them publicly, posted it online, and actually created outrage behind all of it and recorded the conversation between law enforcement and myself and released portions of it. It's very discouraging because, again, I live in a red state, Texas. You don't expect that these police departments would be so critical of those who are trying to defend themselves. And so to bring it back to here in Florida, I've lived in Florida as well. I am completely shocked by the process of all of this. And I kind of want to get your so a hypothetical, I guess I kind of want to get your take on this. Obviously, as a former member of law enforcement, too, you're very well aware that domestic violence calls, when you get those calls, they are very high risk. And so obviously a lot of people are on edge here. To intercept and to take away the firearms of an individual who might be falsely accused is obviously something that could put their life at risk here. What's the solution to all of this? How do we kind of sift through the information to make sure that when someone does call in and say, hey, listen, this person is a threat to me or to my family or someone I love and care about, how do you sift through it to see if it's a real accusation that's being made with credible pieces of evidence? I mean, how do you sift through all of that?
Well, the biggest threat and the danger of all of this, and even judges have stated it, they do not want to be the one person that the actual threat slips through the cracks. Yeah. So they would rather 9 innocent people go to jail than the one guilty person be set free. And, that, to quote Benjamin Franklin, one of our founding fathers, he said he would rather 9 guilty men go free than 1 innocent person goes free. The principles of this are very simple. Law enforcement and our government as a whole needs to uphold and respect our civil rights. They need to uphold and respect the ideas of due process of innocent until proven guilty. But more importantly, we, the voter, we need to hold our elected officials accountable for the legislation that they pass. Red flag laws, these temporary restraining orders, these gun-free zones, all of that. We need to demand that especially in Florida and Texas, that our pro-gun Republicans actually are pro-gun Republicans and pass pro-gun legislation. To give you an example, this is the 4th year in a row now that a bill to repeal the under 21 purchase ban has been blocked. Governor DeSantis wants it. Attorney General James Utmeyer supports it. GOA fully supports it, of course. But the fact that a Republican supermajority has failed for a 4th year in a row to repeal something as simple as an under 21 purchase ban. You have adults between 18 to 21. They cannot legally purchase a firearm to defend themselves. And I'm sorry, last I checked, and I say this as a father, but last I checked, a lot of women between the ages of 18 to 21 are victims of domestic violence, and the state has flat out said you can't purchase a firearm to defend yourself. And to go further back to, to circle back to all of this, that you have a criminal and legal court system that is so easily abused to where you can make a false allegation and strip the very person who's a victim of a crime to be able to defend themselves. That's despotic. My family fled communist Cuba. We don't want that here in the United States.
Yeah, we don't. And again, I mean, I know the Second Amendment works. and it's the great equalizer for women, and it's something that we all need to have access to if you're someone, obviously, who's in mental, the mental capability of being able to responsibly own a firearm. I'm totally on board for all of this. When it comes to the political spectrum here, like when we're kind of trying to sift between candidates to see who really is a supporter of the Second Amendment and who isn't, does GOA actually endorse candidates? Is there a way for our audience right now, like let's say they want to go, before they go to the polls, they want to be able to kind of sift through and see who is a legitimate candidate who supports the Second Amendment? How do they go about doing that with your resources?
Well, GOA, we definitely vet our candidates. We send candidate questionnaires. We endorse candidates. And we don't carry water for politicians or political parties. We're not a pro-Republican organization. We're a pro-Second Amendment organization. If tomorrow you have, and this is hypothetical, of course, because it hasn't happened, it rarely happens, but if tomorrow you have a blue dog Democrat that flat out will say, hey, I will repeal this, you could look at my voting record, their actual voting record substantiates, a pro-gun stance, and you have an anti-gun Republican, we'll back the Democrat before we back the Republican, because to us it's not the issue of what party you're with, where you're going. It's where you stand on civil rights. And the Second Amendment is tied to the First Amendment, and it's tied to the Fourth and Fifth Amendment because it's all interconnected, no more, no less. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's a very simple statement, and lawmakers need to understand that. That's why we vet them. That's why we question them. That's why we call them to the we haul them to the carpet, and we hold their feet to the fire. We don't care. Look, professionally, we have even brought President Trump to task on Second Amendment issues because for us, it's very simple. The Second Amendment comes first, no more, no less.
Yeah, and that needs to be top priority. Before we go, I want to kind of get your take on this. Obviously, I was here for Parkland. I was working in local news at the time, and I've seen the back and forth with the legislation that has been pushed through. Obviously, there was strict gun reforms, as they always refer to them, but it's really just a gun grab. It's gun control. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. That was pushed through the emotional wave that happened after Parkland. There's actually been two Parkland parents who have been very much against all of this, and they've been trying their very best to go out there and to advocate for Floridians to have their Second Amendment right. But it's been going back and forth in the legislature. Where do we stand now on making the corrections to the radical gun legislation that was pushed through post-Parkland?
Well, as the only cop who publicly spoke against the Parkland bill, I could tell you this. This is an election year in Florida. We have gubernatorial candidates. One of those candidates is Paul Renner. He's the former House Speaker. He voted in favor of the Parkland bill. That's a no-go in our book. Yeah. You have Jay Collins, our current lieutenant governor. He wasn't in the legislature when Parkland happened, but he has stated that he is against the Parkland bill and he would repeal it. But on top of that, you also have Byron Donalds. Byron Donalds was a freshman member of the State House of Representatives, and he voted against the Parkland bill. So we're not throwing an endorsement out on this right now, but we are looking at the facts. And right now the facts are, out of 3 primary candidates, 2 of them are in favor of repealing Parkland. 1 of them voted in favor of Parkland. And out of the 2 that voted against, that are in favor of repealing the Parkland bill, 1 of them flat out voted against it. He went against his legislative leadership and said, no, I'm going to stand on the Second Amendment. And that's what it needs to do. We need to go into this election season and really push on members running for the House and the Senate and the governor's office on where they stand on repealing Parkland, no more, no less. Yeah, no, it's an important issue. I know that those in Florida really do care for it. We love our Second Amendment, and we will do whatever it takes to preserve that, of course. Thank you for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it. Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Please keep up the good work and being a shining beacon of liberty on the airwaves. That's what we're aiming for, folks. That's what we're aiming for, folks. All right, guys, we'll be right back with more and an update regarding the nuclear story we brought to you last week. We'll be right back.
Half protection is not enough. Using just an antivirus online is also not enough. Get better protection from online threats. Get NordVPN now.
My friends, I come to you today on behalf of the Jewish people in Ukraine whose lives have been completely destroyed. Family and loved ones brutally killed. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is inside of Ukraine, providing emergency food and supplies to tens of thousands of people.
I am shocked how many elderly people came here. They're afraid, and they realize now that there are more people than boxes.
For just $25, you can help rush an emergency food box to the elderly Jews in Ukraine. Many of them are hungry, frightened, and alone. Today, there's a special opportunity to double your gift's impact. Call now, and your gift's impact will be doubled.
The people of Ukraine are caught in the crosshairs of war. Many of these precious people are Holocaust survivors, elderly Jews who are sick and dying. They have no food, and we must reach them now before it's too late.
The world is in a war again. I am alone. I'm afraid of the bombs. I'm scared. I am old. There is no food.
Just $25 helps rush emergency food to elderly Jews in Ukraine who are in urgent need today. Please call, scan, or go online right now.
I will not starve. Thank you, good people.
We can be the hope to the Jewish people who are suffering in Ukraine. Your help is desperately needed now.
Thanks to generous fellowship partners. Call now and your gift's impact will be doubled.
Finished my chores. Ready for my allowance.
Greenlight is way better than how I got paid for chores. Mowing all those lawns really paid off. That was not radical.
Bring your family into the financial future.
It's time to stand up and save with InstaSeal by Bell & Howell, the world's first vertical vacuum sealing system designed to save you money. InstaSeal removes the air completely, extending freshness up to 6 times longer. Now that's saving. Get the complete InstaSeal system. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-308-6802. That's 1-800-308-6802 or order online at buyinstaseal.com.
All right, welcome back, folks. I am Brianne Morello, filling in for James O'Keefe today. A lot going on over here on the inside, and I'm very excited to have you guys here. We're kind of sifting through a lot. I know we broke to you guys the story about Jason Hermes. That was the big one that we broke with you guys at the opening of the show. If you missed that, you definitely got to take a look back. He is one of the vice presidents over at Fox News Media Group. He was obviously someone we played a lot of clips of, who claimed while he was on a date with a undercover journalist to be someone who, well, lies on his Fox expense reports. Now, again, those were his accusations that he was making about himself. If you want to hear the full kind of update on that, definitely take a look back. We'll also be trying again to reach out to Jason. He wasn't very happy when our team reached out to him. And again, OMG's got some of the best journalists in the game. We've given him the opportunity, of course, to do just that and to speak out on these issues. Actually, let me just try to give him a ring now. I'm going to, as we are here doing this live stream, I'm going to try to see if Jason would like to give us a comment on all of this. Let's put it on speaker. Let's see if he does respond.
Jason.
Hi, Jason. This is Brianna calling right now from O'Keefe Media Group. I'm filling in today for James O'Keefe. I wanted to just see if you had a comment regarding the report. He hung up the phone, did not want to talk to us. Well, that's very unfortunate. Again, we want to be fair and balanced and give everyone the fair shake here. I understand that a lot of people probably, you know, we've given Fox Corp the opportunity to comment on it, but obviously we've given Jason also the comment opportunity, and he's passed now twice. So there's that. There's that. But let's bring it down to a report that I was filling in. Again, I was filling in last week, too, for James, and it's an honor to do just that. But we have an update on that report that I broke down to you guys last week. If you missed it, here's a quick look back.
I was hearing something that we killed kids in the car. Did we actually?
Yeah, I'm sure there's been some collateral damage. Yeah, for sure. They always die in war. So with this chemical, with the pure agent, it kills that enzyme, and lungs won't work, your heart won't work, nothing will work. We have us here and sit down. She was just being lazy, and she wore a frock. So it was soaked in her clothes, and it's soaked very well again. So she could literally just start touching stuff. How people would touch like a door, and then people would die.
All right, the very next day after that report dropped, our correspondent, Mike Casey, took the story directly to the Pentagon and asked the War Secretary, Mr. Pete Hegseth, what he was going to do about that report. Take a listen.
Thank you. Michael Casey with O'Keefe Media Group. Earlier this week, James O'Keefe published a story on Department of Army Nuclear Chief Andrew Hugg, who revealed top secret national security information to a stranger he met on a dating app. Will you defer Mr. Hugg for termination and prosecution?
Yeah, he won't work here anymore.
And given the revelations, will
it's an easy one.
Will any changes be made to the current anti-espionage training for all Department of War employees now, given this?
Well, we're always on the lookout for CI threats, any internal threats, anyone talking out of school about things they should not. We take leaking very seriously here, informally or formally, which is why some of the reporting done by some of the people in here is incredibly problematic. They're willing to publish things based on classified information that would potentially harm those in harm's way. And we think them doing so is incredibly irresponsible and unpatriotic. And it would encourage members of the press to think twice about the lives they're affecting when they publish things in their publications like the New York Times. Yes.
There you go. Some accountability for you. And of course, another great report by the great journalist over at OMG. Now, that does it for today's show. Make sure you subscribe or follow us wherever you watch, whether it's YouTube or on X. That's where you catch James, who's normally here hosting, delivering the very latest. I want to thank everyone again for sticking with me as I fill in for James. You can follow me on X myself. I am at Brianna Morello. I am best known for suing the government, going after those that are corrupt, and trying my best to create transparency, which I know James really does care for as well. So it's an honor to fill in for him again. James O'Keefe and his team are constantly out there, and they're doing their very best to expose corruption and keeping up the great work. We appreciate you tuning in. And stay tuned. The final piece released shortly. That will be across all platforms as well. Share it. Make sure everyone sees it, because we're doing great work over here. Well, they're doing great work in here. I'm just filling in. So make sure you do just that. Again, you can help keep up with all of this by making a donation. Citizen Journalism Independent by donating. Well, that was the logo there. Citizen Journalism Foundation at cjfusa.org. Again, you guys, this is a big deal. We need your donations to keep independent journalism up and running, and so we greatly appreciate when you do just that and support James and all of his team's efforts as well. And again, make sure you subscribe to our exclusive content, O'KeefeMediaGroup.com. Make sure you do just that as well. Shout out to everyone who's watching right now on YouTube. I'm going to be signing off by playing the trailer to a brand new exclusive docuseries, which is expected to premiere very, very soon. James and his team have been working very, very hard on this over at O'KeefeMediaGroup.com. It's called American Swiper. Thanks again for having me.
He was basically admitting the fact that the agencies committed treason on camera.
There's a whole science behind eliciting information out of people.
We leverage online dating platforms like Hinge, Bumble, or Tinder.
Swipe repeatedly until you match with someone of public importance that you go meet with undercover.
Individuals who have the potential to help us expose any sort of corruption.
Disney, Meta, the IRS, MSNBC, the NFL, Department of Defense, we've done it all.
I set up several online dating profiles, and little did I know I was talking to a senior person within the CIA.
This is what I do from him. I work in CIA. We collect information from him.
From Trump?
Yes.
This guy was talking about how they withheld important intelligence from the president.
This investigation was much bigger than any of us anticipated. All I could think of was, do not get caught.
Are you recording?
No, of course not. My heart started pounding.
You get to a point where they're that suspicious of you, you've got to get out of there.
I knew I was busted. He was convinced there was a hidden camera in my purse.
No, I'm not okay with this. Stop it.
This was On the Inside with James O'Keefe. Thanks for watching.
Half protection is not enough. Using just an antivirus online is also not enough. Get better protection from online threats. Get NordVPN now.
My friends, I come to you today on behalf of the Jewish people in Ukraine whose lives have been completely destroyed. Family and loved ones brutally killed. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is inside of Ukraine, providing emergency food and supplies to tens of thousands of people.
I am shocked how many elderly people came here. They're afraid, and they realize now that there are more people than boxes.
For just $25, you can help rush an emergency food box to the elderly Jews in Ukraine. Many of them are hungry, frightened, and alone. Today, there's a special opportunity to double your gift's impact. Call now, and your gift's impact will be doubled.
The people of Ukraine are caught in the crosshairs of war. Many of these precious people are Holocaust survivors, elderly Jews who are sick and dying. They have no food, and we must reach them now before it's too late.
The world is in a war again. I am alone. I'm afraid of the bombs. I'm scared. I am old. There is no food.
Just $25 helps rush emergency food to elderly Jews in Ukraine who are in urgent need today. Please call, scan, or go online right now.
I will not starve. Thank you, good people.
We can be the hope to the Jewish people who are suffering in Ukraine. Your help is desperately needed now.
Thanks to generous fellowship partners. Call now and your gift's impact will be doubled.
Finished my chores. Ready for my allowance.
Greenlight is way better than how I got paid for chores. Mowing all those lawns really paid off. That was not radical.
Bring your family into the financial future.
It's time to stand up and save with InstaSeal by Bell & Howell, the world's first vertical vacuum sealing system designed to save you money. InstaSeal removes the air completely, extending freshness up to 6 times longer. Now that's saving. Get the complete InstaSeal system. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-308-6802. That's 1-800-308-6802 or order online at buyinstaseal.com.
I'm Terrence Bates. President Trump preparing to head south to Florida. No, he's not going to Mar-a-Lago. He'll be at the Villages before going to the Mar-a-Lago. In fact, you can see President Trump getting ready to deboard a Marine One and then get on Air Force One to make his way to the Villages. Rav, Chief White House Correspondent Brian Glenn is already there waiting for the president's arrival as we continue to watch the president make his way south. Let's check in with Brian now. So, Brian, it's my understanding there have been people in line to see the president since yesterday at the Villages.
Yeah, Terrence, good afternoon. We are outside the venue here in the Villages where President Trump, as he's getting ready to board Air Force One, will make his arrival here. Now, the program starts at 1:30. He speaks at 3. And let me step aside real quickly. The line is considerably long. As we reported earlier, some individuals came yesterday at 3 p.m. Others spent the night. How long have you been here?
We've been here since about 10:30.
10:30 this morning. So, Terrence, we've got a big crowd here. Now, not quite sure if this place can hold the amount of people that are in line, but nevertheless, Florida is really showing up big time. This feels very much like a campaign rally, Terrence.
Well, since you brought up campaign, I'm curious what lawmakers are going to be on hand there. Byron Donalds comes to mind immediately, as he is one of several Republicans running for governor there in the state of Florida. I would imagine that many of them will... Can you hear me, Brian? Okay, sounds like Brian can't hear me. But what I was going to say, just to kind of complete that thought, I was wondering if Byron Donalds, who is running for governor, is going to be one of the candidates on hand there at the Villages as President Trump makes his arrival. Of course, many of those candidates hoping to get on President Trump's coattail and potentially get his endorsement. All right, I think Brian is back now. Brian, I was just making the point and wondering if some of the various candidates running for office in Florida are expected to be on hand. Byron Byron Donalds, of course, comes to mind, as he is one of a couple of candidates running for governor as a Republican there in Florida.
I think you're going to see several Florida politicians running for office on different levels, from a state rep up to the governor. Now, I will say this, Byron Donalds' media team has a spot on the riser, so I'm assuming that Byron Donalds will be here today, but that's not confirmed. But the 1:30 pre-program has several speakers in that time slot, so I would imagine if Byron is here, he'll probably be speaking between 1:30 and 2:30 here local time.
Absolutely. We'll see that, and we, of course, will have live coverage of that throughout the day here on Real America's Voice. Let's talk about the issues that the president is expected to address. The economy is going to be, I guess, the center point, but it's the economy with a focus on seniors. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You know, I've been talking to a lot of people over the last hour or so out here. They say his number one achievement so far, not only securing the border with the wall and they support the war with Iran, but also the tax incentives, the one big, beautiful bill that did deliver some tax breaks for seniors in terms of the Social Security. That's a big win for the president, and they don't really mind the slight increase in gasoline, as they know that in their terms, it's a good, a fair price to pay for the war in Iran. And of course, the stock market continues to boom, which a lot of these seniors who have pensions and investments in the market seem to be happy about that as well.
Brian, we're watching President Trump getting ready to board Air Force One. He's making his way to the plane and now making his way up the steps. Given what happened this past Saturday, it's a question I've got to ask. What security is like there at the Villages, as this will really be President Trump's first public appearance since the attack there at the White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday?
Yeah, that's a fair question. This facility next to us is brand new. It's only a couple years old, a big campus here. The actual event is in what you would think is like an auditorium, ground seating. It's all 100% inside. Security for this seems very much like a rally. Of course, you've got some streets that are blocked off. You got a lot of security on the ground walking around. You've got some motorcycle. You got local sheriffs. You got local police officers as well. So there is a sizable presence of police force on the ground. I feel safe. These people feel safe. And I think, once again, we'll have a great, successful rally. Terrence.
All right. Brian Glenn reporting on the ground there at the Villages in Florida. We, of course, will take you there live the moment the president arrives.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.